Hey guys, welcome to today's Friday Zoom at noon. If anybody hops on, I'll be sure to welcome you and chat, but I just want to get straight to it, and this is recorded and will be posted. But so this month, we're talking about your story and how to share it on social media. So I just want to take a couple minutes to talk about why you want to share your story and why people should care. And then within the weeks to come, I really want to focus on the how, okay? So here's the deal. You may or may not even know what your story is. That has been probably the most eye-opening part to being a part of this opportunity for me, is I really didn't know I had a story until I started really digging deep into myself and figuring out what that story was. And it evolves, and it should evolve. So when I first started 3 years ago, my story is very different than what my story is today. Now, it is totally awesome, and I encourage you to have part of your story be your transformation, okay? That is awesome, is that if you have a transformation, whether it be weight or emotional or like for me, it was medical. So whatever your transformation is, that needs to be part of your story. So figure out what that is. And that held me back for a very long time, because I didn't feel like, since I didn't have a transformation that people could physically see, that I felt like that limited my story. Here's what I found is that I believe now adds to my story, because I can breadcrumb it, all right? I can talk about my headaches. I can talk about my stroke. I can talk about eating disorders. I can talk about all these different pieces that all lead up to my transformation. So figure out, first of all, when you are talking about your story and you're figuring out what your story is, one of the pieces should definitely be your transformation, but then it will umbrella as well. So if here's your transformation, I lost 50 pounds, what came from that? I was more confident. I transformed my relationships. I can fit into these pants. So while the transformation itself is I lost all this weight, there's so much more that comes from it. So if my transformation is I got off of medications, that's bigger than that, because I got off medications, but it improved my health, right? I got off medications and all of a sudden I have nice skin. I don't have, the weight loss side effects, and I don't have the foggy brains, and my headaches are gone. All of that, my relationships are better. I'm able to create muscle, which I wasn't before. So yes, my transformation is no more medication, but what came from that? So that's story number one. So decide what is your transformation, and then decide, I would recommend 5 different ways that you can talk about that. Okay? So I'm going to talk about my relationships are better. I look healthier. I am off medication, so I don't have to deal with that every day and deal with the expense, right? I don't have the debilitating headaches that I used to have. And then finally, just overall better health. How cool is it that I get to fill out a health sheet and check mark no medicine? Yesterday, that showed up on my time hop, and it was my year anniversary of my health physical, and I got to check no medication, and I hadn't been able to do that for 13 years prior. So that was a pretty awesome thing. So whatever your transformation is, you may feel like it's like this, but think about it and decide 5 different ways you can tell that story. Okay, that's thing 1. Thing 2 that you can tell your story and just develop it is all the different roles that you play. So there's an exercise that Brendon Burchard does where he talks about your 6 roles. What are those 6 roles? Now, I've narrowed it down because 6 is a lot for me. Excuse me. Much better than last week though, right? I've narrowed it down, and I have lots of roles, and I have those 6 roles written down in when I journal. But when I'm thinking about how I'm going to post, I post in 3 roles: my fitness role, my family role, and my fun role. And that is how I decide how I'm going to post. So what are your roles, right? I'm a teacher. I'm a coach. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I am a friend, maybe a daughter. Okay. So all these different roles that you have, I have this written down. I just don't have it in front of me. Use those roles to relate to other people. Someone out there is a mom. Someone out there is a nurse. Someone out there is a teacher. Someone out there, and be specific, is a mom of a child with special needs, is a teacher or a nurse that works overnights. So your story, be as specific as possible, because then there's someone out there that's going to reach out to you and say, I needed this because I feel that way too. All right. So what are those roles? Now I've narrowed them down to fitness, fun, and family. So every day my goal is to share a little piece of me in those 3 ways, because those are the 3 things that I believe make me up. All right. And that's what I want to share. Most of the time, my posts don't get a whole lot of engagement that you can physically see, because sharing your story is personal, as well as communicating with others about your story. So, for example, a few weeks ago, I put a post out there about my stroke. A few people commented, but a lot was happening behind the scenes. So please do not get discouraged when you're like, nobody is posting. Lisa, hello. Are you there? Hello.
Sorry, I have to hit unmute every time. Are you already done?
No, I'm just talking.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're
Carry
fine.
on.
Carry on. We'll chime in with questions or whatever. So I'm just talking about sharing your story and how to do it. So to recap real briefly, I was talking about how Brendon Burchard wants you to write down your 6 roles. So whatever those 6 roles are, figure out how you can communicate with other people what those roles are. So I've narrowed it to 3 that I want to post about, because it just helps me stay a little bit more focused. So I talk about my fitness, my family, and something fun. What I found is the random stuff seems to get a lot of engagement and questions. So that's how I would share your story. So I also talked briefly, Lisa, and I'll kind of recap that, was to figure out what is your transformation and talk about it as much as possible. So if your transformation is physical, how can you talk about that in different ways? Or if your transformation is emotional, how can you talk about that in different ways? Because what I have found is my transformation is medical, but I have forgot to talk about it, I guess, in a month. And I talked about it, and so many people reached out to me and were like, I had no idea. Because I think sometimes we think our transformation is so transparent and out there, and it's not. And so it's important to, every few weeks, just kind of bring that up, because somebody out there is going to say, oh my gosh, me too. So that's what I would definitely do that. So today I was talking about how to figure out what your story is. And I think it's super important that we all know that there's people out there that want to be healthier. They want to find a fitness program. They want to find products that are going to work for them. They want to manage their life better. They want all this stuff. And they're going to pay somebody to make it all happen. And so they're going to pick the person that they feel like they relate to the most, that shares the most, and that they feel like they know and understand and can relate to. And so that's why your story is so important. And then, so I'll kind of, finish up with this, is that when you are consistent in your sharing, people feel like they know you. It's just like celebrities, right? It's the celebrities that are on Twitter and Instagram and all of them. I was thinking today, of all these celebrities who, I feel like some of them, I want to be my best friend, because I feel like I know them so much. And while we are not celebrities, we are on social media, and there are people that are watching us. And so we want people to say, oh my gosh, I want Lisa to be my best friend. I want Sally to be my best friend. I want them to lead me in one of the most important, private, scariest journeys of all, and that's weight loss and health. And so it's our job to make sure it's fun and exciting and not scary and not like, I don't know, when you get overindulged by what's going on. All right. So that's what I would encourage you to do. Figure out what your transformation story is. So that's number one. And 5 different ways you can tell that story. So what's your transformation? What are 5 ways you can tell it? So that's thing 1. Thing 2, write down your 6 roles. Who are you? Are you a mom? Are you a teacher? Are you a health coach? Are you a farmer, Lisa? So what is it that you are? And then use those 6 roles to talk to people, because those are the people that are going to relate to you. And then finally, break that down into your posts. So I want to always think of people. I don't like to think sales or challenge packs or whatever. I like to think I'm helping people. So how can I help somebody through my fitness story, through my family story, and through something fun? And I do believe that those 3 things kind of relate together. So today, again, was just kind of to open up your eyes to what your story is and be consistent with it. That's one of the things that I know I struggle with is I'm like bipolar kind of, because I'm like, I have so many different stories and I want to tell them all. And I encourage you to do that. However, figure out how those different stories can bridge together. Because if you're talking about weight loss, and then you're talking about your emotional transformation, those definitely go together. But figure out that bridge so somebody can follow your story. So it's almost like every time you post should be like a little mini sitcom, right? So what is your story today? Oh my gosh, I can't wait to catch up on the story tomorrow and figure out what is next, right? So one of the things that Facebook is talking about is people are now only seeing your posts if you've interacted with them. So my team, I know we've talked quite a bit about making sure you go onto other people's posts and comment. Don't just like, comment, start conversations. Those conversations will make sure that your story that you are working so hard to tell, that people will actually see it. And I would try to limit that to what you are posting on your actual page to 2 to 3 times, for the simple fact that you're putting a lot of thought, a lot of effort into that, and you don't want to do it randomly all the time. It wants to be semi-planned. And then go freaking crazy in your story. So that's a walk in the life of Lisa Watkins, or a walk in the life of Sally Barron is my story. And you guys hopefully know that you can link your Instagram stories to your Facebook stories so you don't have to do it twice, right? So do it one time and share the snot out of that story. People want to know what you ate. And I know that sounds silly. You're like, seriously, they want to know? Yeah. They want to know how you fold your laundry. They want to know the first thing you did in the morning. They want to know how much water you drank. They want to know that because they want to follow a normal person and figure out you were doing these awesome things. I also can do these awesome things. So that's what I encourage you to do. All right. If anybody has any questions later about, I only have 5 roles, do I need 6? Or how can I share this piece of my story? I would love for you to holler at me. One more thing with pictures, I would encourage you also just to get a great photo. So Lisa, I know you're a photographer. You love taking pictures. So use this as a place to really capitalize on great photographs. Use the filter sparingly. I mean, take a good photo and don't cover it up with text. Back in the day, that was the cool thing. Add the text to the photos. But now we're learning people don't want to read text on photos. They want to look at the actual photo and then read the text in the post. So I would encourage you to do that as well. And if you're only posting 2 to 3 times a day, 2 to 3 great pictures, that's easy peasy to do. All right. I will also tell you that sometimes, like last night, I was sitting in my car. It was 8 o'clock, and I was like, and Lisa, you know this is true. I needed to post yesterday some sort of a thankful post. you can't push thankful, guys. And not that I'm not 100% thankful. I have a million things I'm thankful for, but I didn't have that visual that I felt like was worth sharing. And so I waited, and it happened later in the night, but I waited until I had that visual. So don't push something just because you feel like you should post it. Wait for that visual or that thought to create that visual, and then make sure you get that posted. All right, that's what I got. Tell your story, tell it well, tell it in breadcrumbs, and get people to follow you. We may not be celebrities, but people are watching our stories and they want to be our best friend. So be their best friend and make their transformations happen. All right, guys, that's all I have.